Hey, my name's Inter, welcome back to the channel, and hopefully this will be the last video I have to do on this topic, because it seems like we've got some pretty promising data in terms of warriors being brought back into the solo lane a little bit, mages being pushed out, warriors in general just performing a little bit better. And of course this is a result of the 10.13 patch that Hi-Rez basically said they didn't want to do that. They really didn't want to do it so close to Worlds, they almost never do. This is like, it wasn't quite a full patch, but it was pretty close. It wasn't like any of the minor patches that we'd seen in the last few, or like what we usually see before Worlds. A ton of changes were made because obviously the solo meta was completely fucked and unfun, and no one really wanted to see that kind of gameplay at Worlds. It would just make it very boring and uninteresting. And of course, not just for Worlds, you know, the rest of the game matters as well. So like just random ranked and casuals, everyone was not having fun with that meta, so they made a ton of changes that they wouldn't normally make. And basically we have a ton of 10.13 data to go over here. We've got some posts from Innocent Rabbit on Twitter that we'll go over, as well as some stuff on Smite Master in terms of win rates, pick rates, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's just jump right in. So first up, we're going to go to Conquest, we're going to go to Solo, and we're going to pick a tier range from Diamond to GM. I know this isn't fully representative of, you know, everyone's experience. Maybe if you're watching and you're in Plat or Gold or whatever, your experience might be a little bit different. But generally, when you're trying to look at the actual real strength of a god, you want to restrict it to a relatively high rank, because anything can happen in like silver and gold. Obviously anything can happen in higher ranks as well. You can make stuff work even if it's not meta or anything like that, but generally restricting it to higher ranks gives you a little bit more of an accurate data set on what's actually strong. And of course, as we see here, we have a Kernanos with a 0% pick rate and 100% win rate. He won one game in solo, so basically what we're going to do is put a minimum games on here of like 100, just to give us a little bit more accurate sample size. You know, you don't want these random like one gods that have been played like 2 times and have a 100% win rate. But yeah, with that done, you can see that in the first page, in the top 8 most winning gods in solo at the moment with a reasonable sample size, there are 0 mages here, absolutely 0. Interestingly, Ula has popped up as a very popular solo laner at the moment. Maybe this is driven by SOT or something like that, but yeah, his win rate is absurdly high. The sample size is relatively small. He only has just over 100 games and 0.38% of the meta, so the sample size isn't very high, but Ula's doing quite well. Hades kind of in a similar spot. Hades we've kind of known has been strong for a long time. He just sort of fell out of the meta with like other mages kind of taking over. He doesn't really use the default meta mage build that we've been using too well. Hades kind of builds a bit differently, but he still does similar things to what the Mage Solos were doing. I mean, he is a mage obviously, but he's kind of like a weird mage. He's not like your traditional Poseidon or Morgan Le Fay or something like that was dominating the meta. Tsukuyomi having a good time as well, and then we get into some warriors. So we've got Shiva doing well, we've got Chak doing well, we got Wukong and Osiris doing really well too. Good to see Osiris's win rate popping back up. Osiris was having a really bad time for ages, even after his spicy changes. And I was claiming he was actually like much better than people are giving him credit for, and it seems like his win rate is actually popping up now with the recent patch. He maybe just needed a few more changes and to push out some of the mages, because Osiris generally does better into warriors than he does into mages. He's not exactly a mage counter or anything like that. But we have to move to page 2 to start seeing a lot of the popular mage solos. You can see that Morgan Le Fay and Apash still doing quite well, but obviously their pick rates have cratered. There's a lot of warriors with significantly higher pick rates than like Apash and Morgan Le Fay. Where's Poseidon on this actually? Yeah, Poseidon's all the way down at a 47% win rate right now. I think this is a little bit underrepresented of how Poseidon actually is. I think Poseidon's stronger than this. Like, I think Poseidon's better than Morgan Le Fay as a solo laner in my personal opinion, but you can see that his win rate has completely fallen off. And Raijin in a similar spot. Raijin's still getting banned, potentially because he sees a lot of play mid as well, or just because people are still kind of reacting and adjusting to the new meta. But Raijin actually has the lowest win rate of all of these with over 100 games in Diamond Plus ranked at the moment. So Raijin doing really badly in solo. You can still see there's quite a few warriors that aren't having a great time. Herc, Armor, Tyr. Although, am I really sad about Hercules, Armor, and Tyr having a bad win rate at the moment? Not really. They were meta very recently in this season. I'm not exactly hankering to see them back. I'd rather see some other warriors have a chance to join the spotlight. But let's filter by pick rate as well. We can see that Achilles, Wukong, Mulan, Surtur, Tyr, Gilgamesh, and then Poseidon's all the way down here. So it takes a while to get down to some of these mages now. A lot of people are just picking up warriors because obviously they've been buffed a ton. Mages have been nerfed a ton. They all use the same build, and that build got pretty heavy nerfs in 10.13 to be fair. And I just want to point out that, like, Smite is better balanced and more finely balanced than a lot of people think. That might be a hot take, but you can really see how, like, these small changes make a big impact on the meta. And part of that is because people see something got nerfed and immediately stop using it and things like that. So it is a little bit of an overreaction sometimes, but small nerfs can make a big difference. And you're kind of seeing that here. The nerfs weren't exactly minuscule or anything. They weren't like 10.12's nerfs. They were much bigger than that. But you can kind of see that even some relatively small changes can really shake up the meta, because now warriors are being picked a ton more and their win rates are also quite high. As I said, it takes getting down to, like, I guess, Alquang, Morgan Le Fay, and Arplash down here before you start seeing, like, mages. And we can expand the tier range a little bit if we want to as well, including all ranks, which obviously gives us a lot more data to work on. Diamond to GM is like, probably about 10 to 20% the size of, like, the entire ranked player base, so we can up the minimum games a little bit, get an accurate sample size, and you can see that it's fairly similar. Nike, Wukong, Shiva, Hades still doing really well, Loki still doing really well. Chang'e pops up here for whatever reason. I guess Chang'e's just like a low-ranked dominator in solo. New Wa as well. Gilgamesh still doing well. He was fairly highly represented in the high ranks as well. And you can see that as soon as you get down to one of the traditional Mage Solos that we've been seeing for the last few months, it's actually where the win rate drops below 50%. And that's with Poseidon. And then you get to, like, Morgan Le Fay as well, Arplash down here, and the lowest win rate is still Raijin. So Raijin's having a really rough time in solo right now. Honestly, I kind of saw this coming because, in my opinion, Raijin was the worst of the Mage Solos. I know a lot of people thought he was really good, and I think he was still quite good. But Morgan Le Fay, Arplash, and especially Poseidon were absolutely outperforming him, in my opinion. And you still see some warriors down here in the bad win rates as well. Hercules having a really rough time at the moment. But again, am I really that sad about that? Not really. He was meta earlier in the season. And we can do pick rate as well. Mulan's pick rate, very high. Mulan, a little bit of a low-rank dominator, if I'm going to be completely honest, purely because of how hard she spikes. People aren't ready for it. And just as soon as you get your 1 and your 2 up to get the 3rd and 2nd hit, respectively, Mulan just completely wipes people out of the lane if you're not ready for it. So a little bit of a low-rank dominator for that reason. Her win rate actually isn't very high, but if you know what you're doing with Mulan in low ranks, you can absolutely destroy people. She also got some pretty substantial buffs, making her 1 and 2 level up a little bit faster, which is actually a big deal for Mulan, so that's probably why her pick rate is so high. Wukong, Surtur, Achilles tier, you can see that all of these gods, the entire front page is warriors in terms of pick rate in all ranks at the moment, and it takes till page 2 when you start getting down to Poseidon, who still has a high pick rate, don't get me wrong, but definitely fallen off from previous patches. We can also take a look at the role combinations, which I think is a very interesting metric as well. If we filter by pick rate in all ranks at the moment, you can see that by far the most popular comp now is just the one of every class. Prior to this, I'm pretty sure something was fairly close to this. This is almost always the most popular comp, just because that's kind of how Smite works. You know, you have the classes that are loosely designed around the roles, so having one of each to fill one of each role kind of makes sense. But this wasn't this sky high above it last time. I'll see if I can find the data from last time, because I think I made a video on this on last patch, but something was relatively close to this, and I think it was probably this one with the double mage and no warrior. Like, this one was much closer, so you can see that the pick rate for that has significantly dropped off. And just in general, you can see a little bit of a trend away from the mages. There's still a lot of mages in this. How many is this? 6? 12? There's still 12 mages, which is a little bit overrepresented for where they should be at the moment. They should have 10 in this data set. But you can see that it's leveled out quite a bit. Warriors now have 6 representation. Guardians now have 7 representation. And if we sort by win rate, you can see that it's a similar story. We still have a little bit of a mage infestation. Assassins actually do quite well as well. But you can see that a lot of these lower win rate comps are the ones with the most mages, although they're also the ones with the most warriors, to be fair. But yeah, you can see a little bit of a resurgence of warriors and a little bit of a pushback of mages on these like combination comp win rates. We can also increase that to diamond plus only. We'll lower the minimum games a little bit just because the data set will be smaller. Pick rate there again. You can see that in higher ranks it's actually even more common to see this just standard 5-person comp, and then obviously it's still pretty common to see mages replacing the warrior in solo because we're just kind of coming out of that meta, and it will still be strong, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this patch will completely wipe out mage solos and they'll be unviable. I think you can absolutely still have success with like Poseidon and Morgan Le Fay and Arplash. Maybe not Raijin. I personally just thought Raijin was overrated in general, and now we can see his win rate and pick rate are falling off substantially. But let's take a look at some Innocent Rabbit data as well. For those that don't know, this is Innocent Rabbit. He got hired by Hi-Rez pretty recently, so congratulations on that. And he does like smite data, basically, for them. He's like their data analyst, and he posts stuff on Twitter about it, which I think is a really great thing. I like when Hi-Rez are transparent about this kind of data, and I don't have to go digging through and like manually collecting it for myself. When they just make these posts, it really interests me. And you can see here, he tweeted on December 14th, stop the count, solo god class proportion. This is not including Bakekujira, and this is above average MMR. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means above 1500 or if that means like actual high ranks. But you can see that Warriors have completely taken all of that market share, so to speak, of the solo lane back from the mages. Actual numbers, Warriors have gone from a 33% representation to 60, and mages have gone from 40% representation to 19. So we're definitely back a little bit, at least in terms of pick rate. This isn't exactly the most reliable data to show that Warriors are now stronger than mages, but it is an accurate representation of the fact that people are trying out Warriors again after this patch, which is a good thing. We'll probably have to wait until Worlds to see what the true case is, because I imagine a lot of the pro players right now are not talking about what they want to play at Worlds. Like, if they think Warriors are now broken, they are not going to talk about it. I mean, they might, like, post YouTube videos about it if it's, like, fine, okay, or whatever, but they're not going to talk, like, significant strategy publicly because they want to keep it secret for Worlds. You know, if they think these changes made no difference and Mage Solos are still OP, they're just going to let people run with the narrative that Warriors are good, and then they're going to bring out Mage Solos and dominate at Worlds kind of thing. So, this isn't necessarily the most accurate way to do it, but you can see that Warriors are absolutely spiking back up to being by far the most represented class in solo lane now. Whereas for a long time before this, mages were just continuously like about 10% above them. There's also some ranked solo lane average class win rates. Mages have come down to basically where they should be, and Warriors have gone up to basically where they should be. So this is really promising. 49.6 and 50.1 is within the margin of error in terms of something having a 50% win rate, so that's really good. And finally, we've got some sort of matchup charts, I suppose, which shows a similar thing to what the previous post shows. So take a look at Mage versus Warrior solo matchups for ranked Conquest, where both solo laners were above average. Again, I don't know what that means. I don't know what kind of MMR that is. I wish you'd just give me like a, you know, above 2000 or whatever. I don't know what above average means, but within 100 MMR of each other. Holy moly, 10.12, I knew it was bad, but optimism for 10.13. We'll have to wait for a larger sample before claiming we solved balance forever. Yeah, of course. The larger sample size you have, the closer you get to a more accurate representation of what's actually happening. But if we open this up, you can see here that in 10.12, the class win rates, mages were beating warriors 54.7% of the time in lane, and then of course warriors were beating mages the opposite of that, one minus that, 45.23%. And then when we move over to patch 10.13, you can see that they've basically equalized warriors and mages. Warriors are slightly beating mages more, but it's basically even at this point. And when you kind of combine that with this data over here, you can see that there is that little bit of overreaction that I was talking about earlier in the video, or like not necessarily overreaction, but people trying out new stuff and seeing whether it works or not, because the pick rate is a much more dramatic swing than the actual win rate. The win rate has come back down to basically even now, but warriors are like 3 times more represented than mages are in solo lane at the moment. So you can see people are like trying out warriors and seeing if they're good on the new patch. So yeah, hopefully warriors are back for 10.13 and for worlds. I'm very excited for worlds. Hopefully we'll see some warriors being brought out there, some big juicy team fights with actual frontline instead of just the garbage we've been playing for like the last 2 patches. Definitely will be a good thing if we see that. Or maybe, according to this data, we'll just see Ula. Ula will just be completely dominating the solo lane, who knows. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. It's promising to see this kind of data that warriors are like coming back into the spotlight a little bit. I think there's still some more like long-standing issues with warriors that would need like a more significant overhaul to actually fix, in terms of like bruiser items and certain warriors that are just like stuck at the bottom of the meta basically forever. But obviously you can't make those kind of like sweeping changes going into Worlds. I'm honestly surprised how much change they did make in the 10.13 patch going into Worlds, and I'm pretty happy with what they've done overall, because I think we'll be waiting until year 11 to get any more like significant changes with this for sure. But yeah, warriors seem to be tentatively back in the solo lane, so go have fun playing your Chaks and your Shivers and your Wukongs and your Osirises and your King Arthurs and all that stuff, and I will catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.